From the central coast of New South Wales, Australia, it's the #1 podcast for the X-Men animated series. This is Generation X-Men with Bender and Brooksy.
Yes, thanks, Steve. This is Generation X-Men. I'm Bender, and with me, as always, is Brooksy.
Hey, hey.
Like the name suggests, we are Generation X-Men, and you are too. If you're new to this, what we'll be doing is going through all 5 seasons of X-Men the animated series, one episode at a time, giving you our thoughts, X-quiz, tally time, and most importantly, having a laugh as well. Now, Tieves and Assassins, Tithes and Weddings. What the hell is going on with this episode, man? I mean, where did it come from?
Welcome to Gambit's backstory.
It's like X-Men Origins Gambit.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is. And I don't know, do I hope that the movie's like this if it ever gets released? Because I was having fun with this episode.
There's a lot to laugh at.
There's a lot to laugh at, and I really hope, like, if there is something along the Gambit sort of film, that they sort of explore this sort of background and really sort of take it into the comedy element. But I don't know why I was hanging shit on this episode last time, because I was having fun in this. But universally or online, there's a lot of hate for this episode. Like, I looked up this comment. I'll read you this comment now about the episode from this forum called toonzone.net from this guy called Fujin Rock Tumbler. He says, about the episode, it was one of the most boring episodes of the X-Men. In fact, it's just second below Savage Land Strange Heart. I felt like Gambit. I like Gambit, but this whole mess with demons and gods or whatever, the black chick seemed too convoluted. A true hot take if I ever heard one, albeit a bit of a racist one, but he clearly wasn't giving this episode his full attention if he's thinking about demons and gods. I mean, I was having fun during this one. I remember, really weirdly, I remember Mum liking this episode.
Okay.
I think she has a thing for, like, Gambit and the whole sort of betrayal of love, because she likes Imhotep and Anaxinamon
The mummy.
in The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Mummy Returns, especially when the bitch lets Imhotep get carried away by the demon. She just sprints and runs. She loves that bit, and I think there's a bit of a connection between that and Gambit and his lover in this one. But going back to Fujin Rock Tumbler, I like this episode. Before we break down, I want to say I was having fun. I don't remember it being this fun as a kid. But there's a lot of funny lines, and I don't know why I dissed it so much. Everyone talks funny, so it's a goofy sort of win for me. And it has a really crazy opening that I was trying to remember what episode it belonged to, but I always skipped this episode because I didn't want to watch it. But now I know it belongs in this one. But we'll get into that shortly. But now it's time for X-Quiz.
Pop quiz, Hotshot.
Pop quiz!
Pop quiz, asshole.
Time for a surprise quiz?
Won't be a pop quiz on Wednesday. There's a pop quiz. Pop quiz.
So we're not too heavy on the X-Quiz today.
No, there wasn't too much to have a quiz about. But how many questions do you have?
I have 3.
You have 3? I've got 2. So we'll kick it off how we always do. You're up.
Okay, my first question is, what level does Gambit accidentally put the danger room to?
I know it flashes like it's in an extreme level, but I'll say it's at level 5.
It's not a number.
Oh, it's not a number.
No.
Oh, shit. Then I have no idea. What is it?
The flashing light says, Danger Team level maximum.
Oh, level maximum.
Danger Team, not Danger Room, though.
Oh, okay. So it's probably a team sort of scenario, and Gambit's actually lead on that. Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, now for my X-Quiz. How long has the war between the Thieves and Assassins been going?
300 years?
That is correct. We keep mentioning why we're calling it Thieves, because that's how everyone pronounces it. No one says Thieves. It's Thieves.
What is the address of the Thieves Guild headquarters?
Ah, shit, I wasn't paying attention to that. I know, somewhere in the bayou, and I don't know.
Have you got a number?
1408.
It's 2420 Melbourne.
Melbourne. Oh, okay. Very good. Is there no suburb to where it's at? Is it in
that's all it says.
New Orleans?
Yeah, it's definitely in New Orleans.
Oh, right.
Louisiana.
All right, now my last question. How many times does the external say chosen one during the flashback?
4 times.
That is correct.
Yeah, that was a good guess.
She first calls Bella or Belladonna the chosen one, and then it does the repeat, chosen one, chosen one, chosen one. So I counted that as 4. So nice one.
I got a similar question.
All right.
How many trees does Belladonna knock Rogue through in their cat fight?
Is it 3?
There's 2 trees and then into a rock.
Oh, okay. I was counting the beats, so I've had the pop, pop, pop. So okay. But that was a cool bit.
Previously on X-Men.
So, previously on X-Men, this is pretty much just the full-on Gambit highlight reel. It's like every time Gambit throws a card before, or every time he's been on screen, or every time he has a line, is in this previously on X-Men.
Yeah, this one felt just like Wolverine's. The last episode is just the best of Gambit in this one, so that was pretty neat just to see that he had his own sort of highlight reel, and they chose some pretty interesting stuff for that, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, more or less, here's Gambit. This is everything he's done of interest, and all these cool shots, like they showed his staff, and I thought,
oh yeah, that's cool.
I love that bit. So that was really neat to see that and get a reminder, like, yeah, he still has a staff, and I notice he doesn't have enough playing cards hidden up the sleeves.
Okay, you enjoy that?
For a Tieves or someone very sneaky like that, I would really prefer, I really like more shots of him hiding cards everywhere. That was pretty neat. Is that time for the breakdown?
Break it down!
Break it down. Now it's time for a breakdown.
Breakdown.
Where is she?
So today we are doing episode number 19 from season 2, episode 6, X-Ternally Yours. The original air date for this one was December 4, 1993. It was written by Julianne Clem and directed by Larry Houston.
Anya Larry. Is this a new writer? I don't believe we haven't seen much from... I haven't heard that name before. I think she did all right for this episode, but going to the title, X-Ternally Yours, that's a play on...
hang on.
Eh?
I know why you like the dialogue so much.
Why is that?
The unstoppable juggernaut.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She wrote that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's why it's so funny. What's her name again?
Julianne Clem.
Julianne Clem.
Yep.
Oh, very good. Thanks, Julianne Clem, for such a winner. I think I'm going to keep an eye out for her name in the writing credits now, just to see if the dialogue is still funny, because there's a lot of funny insults in this one too. They're very creative with how they insult people, so I was digging that. And the title, X-Ternally Yours, it's a play on Eternally Yours, because there's an external in this episode. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, that title makes sense.
So the episode sort of starts on like a crashed X-Jet, and then Cyclops walks in front of it, and he sort of charges his eyes. He's done that a few times.
Yeah,
you notice that one?
Just a really sort of cool buffer moment. It's like a prepping. It's like pulling the hammer back on a gun, just like but it's just. And this was one of the coolest episodes because it's like we're in some sort of like space background on a meteor or something. You see a crashed Quinjet or whatever they're called, the scout jets, and Cyclops walking around by himself. It really builds up a lot of mystery. It reminds me of when Cyclops is walking around at the start of, what's that Mr. Sinister episode earlier in the season. But it always just turns out to be the Danger Room. But I thought it was really interesting, scary opening. I really dug it.
So the jet explodes and Cyclops is knocked to the ground, and then a tentacle wraps around his leg and drags him over to this huge monster.
Yeah, it's like a rock tentacle monster living in a sort of pothole full of ooze and stuff. That was really cool.
And it's like this big grey monster with like heaps of tentacles.
Yeah.
And it's already got Jean and Rogue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was really cool.
There's like a big mouth too. It's all mouth.
Yeah, it's all mouth and tentacles.
So Cyclops manages to blast the arms off, so it frees him and the 2 girls. And then the tentacle that's wrapped around his leg then comes after him. He grabs it and blasts that again for a second time. And he then stands up and in one blast destroys the creature or monster or whatever it is.
Yeah, straight in the face, blows him up.
That's it. And then he gets up and yells, "Come on, Gambit, can't you make this program a little tougher?"
So yeah, and it's like, I swear they always start the Danger Room looking so much cooler. It's like, why can't we stay in this world?
Yeah.
Why do we have to come back to reality and to the boring Danger Room? It's like, oh man, why can't we just get thrown right in the middle of an adventure and everyone's being attacked or whatever? Because that always had so much promise to be something totally different and off planet, sort of, so to speak. But yeah, that was a really cool intro.
So Gambit's obviously in the control room here, controlling the danger room training sequence.
Why? You don't like Gambit to be gentle?
Our enemies won't be. Crank it up.
Oh, he asked for it.
So in the control room, Gambit gets a phone call and he answers it, Xavier's school. Which makes me think, is that all the phones in the whole place? Every phone's ringing, you reckon? Or
I would think so, yeah. I doubt that they'd have the extension just for the danger room.
There's just like a phone tree where it rings like the war room first. No one answers it. Then it just goes down like rec room, danger room.
Yeah, I wonder what the priority of the phone tree is, but I just assume all the phones were ringing and whoever... I do admire Gambit's phone etiquette, though. Was it Xavier's school?
What if it was a parent that wants to like enroll their kid and he's like, yeah, Xavier school. How's he going to take notes? He's in the danger room. He hasn't got a pad next to him.
Can you call back? I'm kind of busy now.
Look, like the professor can't answer it because he's not there.
Yeah.
So the voice in the phone says, Remy.
And already Gambit is shocked and unnerved by that, right?
Yeah, he's like, who's this? How did you find me? And then he accidentally knocks the danger room lever to the danger team level maximum, which causes it to go into alarm. And then inside the danger room, we see Omega Red, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister, Juggernaut.
I know.
All show up.
That is a great shot too. They sort of form behind him. Cyclops turns around and is just panning across the biggest big bads that the X-Men have faced off against so far. So I was like, whoa. And I always remember that as a kid. What shot is that from? Because I'd love to see that as a team, you know? That's the ultimate sort of Expendables, Suicide Squad sort of team to go up against the X-Men, all the biggest, baddest villains. So seeing that, I was like, whoa, he's about to get messed up.
Do you remember the next enemy that we see after these
Yeah,
guys?
I wrote down. It was Omega Red, Apocalypse, Sinister, Juggernaut, and some armoured lizard man.
An alligator in hairbags clothes. Is what I wrote.
Really? Like, oh man, I couldn't have them. That could have been another cameo for some even bigger bag.
But no, it's just an alligator in blue shoulder pads and a Speedo. I said he looks like the Donkey Kong villain. That King Cruel? I reckon that's what he looks like to me.
Oh, yeah, I see him now. That's funny. But
so yeah, where did the crazy alligator come from?
I have no idea. Maybe they just needed something else and the script called for, let's just put a big lizard man in there.
What
instead.
are we doing? Buy you one? Yeah, throw an alligator in.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to rationalise it.
So the voice continues on the phone. It says, Remy, it's Pierre. You better come down here quick. It's Bobby. He's in trouble.
He in trouble.
And he's like, Remy, it's the tithe. Bobby disappear. And if he ain't dealt tonight with the tithe, you know what's going to happen.
This is the best you've ever read out any of the quotes, and it's one of the weirdest accents to do it. When you're doing it normally, it's always a stuff around, but this one just nailed this character's name, this character's dialogue. Pierre. I wrote down another note. He is straining on every sentence he gets out. It's amazing.
So while Gambit's on the phone, Cyclops is just in there getting his ass kicked by all these.
His ass kicked. It's a real scary moment. The danger room always tends to malfunction and comes on too strong whenever there's one person in there.
So he manages to blast away the alligator man and Juggernaut, Mr. Sinister, and Omega Red. And then Apocalypse gets big and everything. And he just like nails Cyclops down. And then so the rest of the team reassemble. And then also the big grey tentacle monster's back.
He's back. He's back and he's pissed off.
So at this point, I was thinking, okay, so where's Rogue and Jean? Are they going to come help him?
Yes.
But no, it turns out they're just gone for coffee.
Weren't they illusions, or they were just bots in there? Because he was always in there by himself, I thought. Because or did you see them walk out?
No, you didn't see him walk out or in.
Oh, I thought they just sort of phased away with the rest once.
Okay, so you think he was in there by himself?
I think he was in there by himself, and they were just like hostage scenarios in there. So the mission for the danger room must have been save Jean and Rogue, who are being attacked by the tentacle monster.
Right.
I think they faded away when Cyclops says, crank it up. You know what I mean? Is this the best you got? I think when they faded out to outside of the asteroid into the danger room, and when it faded back in, they had sort of vanished. So I thought he was always in there by himself. I'll have to watch it again now.
Something's wrong. Gambit!
So Rogue comes down the hall and notices an intercom flashing.
Yeah.
And she presses a button and she sees Cyclops getting nailed in the bloody danger room by like every villain that they've ever seen and an alligator.
It's at this point that Cyclops he's been wrapped up by the tentacle monster.
Yep.
He's been wrapped up by Omega Red. Omega Red sucking the life out of him with the whatever his power's called, the
carbonadium tentacles.
Yeah, and he's got like the death aura or the death suck.
Oh, yeah.
Sinister's blasting him. Apocalypse is blasting him. Juggernaut's probably just standing there
Yeah,
laughing.
Juggernaut's standing there, flexing.
Yeah. And then and he's been choked and Cyclops is screaming out, Gambit! Gambit! Now, as a kid and now, it reminded me of when Alex Murphy was being killed in Robocop.
Oh, yeah, that was... Yeah.
it was vibing that scene to me, and I was getting genuinely nervous for Cyclops here. I mean, I don't like him, but I was like, he's about to get killed. This is Alex Murphy getting his arms blown off while the other creatures are just ganging up on him and killing him. And I was getting really nervous for Cyclops here because the way you're screaming out to Gambit, that's like a fear of mine, but no one acknowledging you when you're in pain or need help. So
Yeah.
a really nerve-wracking scene, this one.
So yeah, she drops her coffee and runs down into the control room and hits the training simulation override button just in time before the old grey monster's about to eat Cyclops.
Yeah. And Cyclops, all his uniform has been blown apart.
Yeah.
His yellow bandoliers in tatters, his spandex coat or top is all torn to shit, and he's just looking like, he is. That's it. Alex Murphy, but at the end of this, except he's got all his arms on his PG. But I imagine if they could go to the next level, he would have got all sorts of messed up. But just to go back to when Beast was training in the danger room, he figured out that if he could get one of the things to attack the door, the simulation would be over. I thought that was a good character moment. Cyclops isn't that clever.
No, he's not that smart.
Beast is the brains. He knows the override. Just get him to... He knows where the door would be in the danger room. So if he gets something to shoot at the door, he's out and free. But Cyclops, not that clever.
So Rogue yells at Gambit, what the hell was he doing? And Gambit says, I gotta go home, Cher. They're gonna waste my brother.
And there was a big sort of moment, which was funny to me. It's like automatically Gambit's brother, who we've never met, is more important than Cyclops because all the focus is taken off a dying, messed up Cyclops and all about Gambit's pain about his brother, who may be killed. Cyclops could be killed in the room right next to you, and they still don't give shit about it. I thought that was hilarious.
So they come back from the ad break and Jean runs into the danger room to help Cyclops.
Yeah.
And he's still like whimpering, Gambit, stop.
Stop.
Jean asks what happened, and then Rogue comes in and explains that something spooked Gambit. He was saying something about his brother.
Mm.
So yeah, that explains it, doesn't it?
I imagine Jane'd still be pissed. What the hell does that mean? Scott could be dead.
So then we see outside the mansion, Gambit takes off in an X-Jet.
Yeah.
And we get a shot of Gambit in the X-Jet. He's like, that fool. That Tieves fool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as soon as that line went off today, you start cackling and I start laughing. I was like, that's great. He has to repeat the fool line, but he has to give it the adjective, that Tieves fool.
That fool. That Tieves fool.
And then this is where we get the flashback going back to Cajun country. And there's two Thieves, and they're running through the swamp with a box, which we find out is called the tithe.
The tithe. Was it Tithe?
That's it.
Did they pronounce it tide like a surf tide or whatever? And then this wasn't until you turned on the subtitles. Oh, it's a tithe.
Yeah.
They hate the letter H and will not pronounce it anywhere.
And so we find out that Gambit is part of the Thieves Guild. So they and the Assassins Guild, or Tassins, must offer the tithe to the Eternal every 10 years.
What the hell's in the tide? Is it just
I don't know. They never
box?
tell you. It's just a box. Yeah. I don't know what they're supposed to put in it, but yeah.
It's like ridiculous. It's like Feels like that South Park episode. I desire macaroni pictures. Is that what? I desire. There's something so frivolous and unimportant, but it's what the deity wants. Otherwise, it's going to melt the shit out of him.
I desire macaroni pictures.
But we should mention here the difference between the assassins and the thieves. The assassins, they've got all this sort of metallic armor on. They got masks, and one cool dude has a mask with his hair sticking out. And so it's all steel blue, black with purple capes. And the thieves, they all seem to be wearing trench coats or dusters and have like headbands and finger gloves, and they're like the street sort of guys. They all dress like Chance Boudreaux out of Hard Target, and they've all got long hair and mullets as well. So that was really neat to see the difference between the two, because without the clothing difference, I couldn't tell you what the difference was between the clans. I don't see them robbing anybody, and don't see the assassins killing anybody.
I get a very Batman and Robin vibe from the Tassins.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they look like, Batman and Robin with all their glow in the dark guys.
Yeah,
that's what they look like to me.
all the fluoro sort of people. Oh yeah, I'll pay that.
So the external then appears out of like a water spout in the middle of this little puddle in the middle of the bay.
Was it a puddle? I thought she was on like a tree stump. Oh no, they put the tides on the tree
That's
stump.
right.
That's right. Okay, carry on. Should we say what she looks like?
Yeah.
She got like dark skin, blonde hair. Is it blonde hair or red hair?
Yeah, there's like 4 thick dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Yellow dreadlocks.
A big cape and sort of a big sort of like a metallic collar, kind of like a Dracula type vibe. And yellow face paint on a.
Looks like Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, looks like Ultimate Warrior or some sort of shaman, some sort of swamp witch.
Yeah, she's got like huge yellow shoulder pads.
Yeah,
and the gauntlets and belt, and then she's got like a huge blue cape on.
Yes, very interesting character design for the X-Ternal.
10 years have passed. The time for the tithing has come. Guild of Assassins, send your chosen one forward.
They offer their gold box to the external, and she says, "By our covenant, your power shall be increased," and zaps all the assassins with this purple light from her eyes, and that strengthens and protects. She says, "Strength and protection from the powers of mortal men."
So it's all very vague about
what's actually happening.
There's a covenant between them all, and if they bring the box to her every 10 years, they get an upgrade. Seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's like, is it really that hard to bring a box every 10 years?
She then turns to the Guild of Thieves and tells them to send their chosen one forward. And the external looks down and sees that there's no tithe from the thieves because they are late. And the thief sort of slowly heads over to the external to make the offering, and she's like, "You broke the covenant. To betray the tithe is dishonor." And so she sends him from this world to a darkness never ending.
Oh, Jesus.
And she sort of blasts him with the same purple light, but this time it's from her hands. So yeah, eyes good, hands bad.
You want the power from the eyes, not her hands.
So the external tells him that they will meet here again in another 10 years. If either of the thieves or assassins don't offer a tithe, then they will join their conspirator in oblivion. She then points to the only woman in the assassins,
Yes.
which is Belladonna,
Yep.
and says that you are now the chosen one. And it gives her, like, she points at her and gives her, like, this new armor-plated clothes and,
Yes.
like, an even bigger cape.
Yes. I should mention throughout all that speech, there's a swap of looks between Belladonna and Gambit, who's out of uniform in his sort of Thieves outfit. So you can see that there's a bit of a connection between the two.
So then she picks one of the thieves, who happens to be Gambit's brother, Bobby.
Yeah.
And so when she picks him, all he does is get his shitty jacket turned from brown to, like, red. Yeah. That's all he gets.
It's a fresh jacket.
The Thieves are getting screwed.
Chosen one.
Bobby.
So we cut back to the mansion now, and Cyclops is in the infirmary, And he's pretty much got Wolverine's usual injuries. He's got the chest bandages on. And
the
that.
broken ribs.
Yep.
And he's shirtless.
Jean explains that she felt Gambit's feelings when he was running out to the plane. And Rogue said she didn't even know Gambit had a family.
Yeah.
Wolverine enters and says, "Heard you need help tracking a cajun." Well, it looks like he got his licks in before he left.
Making a reference to whipping Cyclops' ass.
So we cut back to the swamp here. Gambit lands his little X-Jet, and then he gets a call from Pierre, who is sitting in a waiting boat ready to go. And every time I see this, it makes me laugh. I don't know why. It's just, it's great.
Give us a line.
Over here, Remy!
I think it's because he's so far away and he's waving in a really sort of over-the-top sort of way. He's still in plain sight. And just the delivery on the line, "Over here, Remy!" Is he doing his Macho Man Randy Savage?
Oh, yeah!
The Thieves are coming.
I also mentioned here, this reminds me a lot of US Marshals.
Yes, it was very US Marshals.
Which is a great movie.
It's a good movie, a very good follow-up to Fugitive. I mean, I like them both.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, which one do you like better?
So they usually say, "Oh, which one do you like better, one or the other?" And the other one sucks. But I like them both because The Fugitive is not super action heavy. It's more or less the chase between the two and building up the detective side of things, trying to figure out who killed his wife. There has that in US Marshals as well, but there's a significantly higher amount of action, I believe. So I like them both because then usually when you have to pick between the two, they're sort of similar. But I think they're different enough that I can like them both. Yep. I mean, Harrison Ford's amazing in the first one, and Wesley Snipes just as good in US Marshals, and they've got like pre-famous Robert Downey Jr. Or pre-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. in the second in US Marshals playing the sort of villainous or whatever, the switcheroo sort of character. So yeah, I couldn't pick between the two. So, but leaning towards Fugitive because it was the first one. It has the big speech. "I want a hard target search from each and every one of you." I used to know it, but I've forgotten.
The in-house, outhouse.
In-house, outhouse, hen-house, cat-house, and outhouse in that area. Search is up for 2 miles. Our fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
See, I think I like the second one better.
Yeah?
Every time, both of them, when they're on, if they're on TV, I'm like, yeah, I got to watch it.
Yeah.
I can't turn it off.
I mean,
they're both great.
Yeah, there's. I think I've had this conversation with Mum and Kim as well because we always used to watch one or the other.
Yeah.
It was in rotation, but I couldn't pick between the two. And the second one has the funny Bayou gag when it's going to all the sort of the boat guys. Which one of you? This is Deputy Marshal Sam Gerard. Which one of you knows the swamp the most? They all put their hand up, and then the follow-up line, which is okay. Which one of you is most inbred country son of a bitch out here? They all put their hand up and one spits. And he goes, "You come with me." That is great stuff.
And the set, too, on that second one, that huge plane set, that gets me every time.
The plane crash sequence.
Yeah, it's like, wow, how big is this set? Like, you'd never see that anymore. They don't do that anymore.
No, it's all green screen nowadays. But they did that 100% practical, flipping the actual plane, rolling it into the water, flooding it with water. It's a great sequence.
And then then the next day, they got there's all fires everywhere, and they got that huge helicopter shot. It's like a minute. It's huge.
They decked out, they wrecked the whole area there, setting fighter shit, knocking down trees, and having the actual plane. Whatever was left over of the plane in there. So, yeah, that's a great shot.
If anyone hasn't seen these movies, go and watch them right now.
Go watch US Marshals.
Pause the podcast, go and watch them, and then come back.
The Fugitive, Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford, and the sequel, US Marshals, Tommy Lee Jones, Wesley Snipes, Robert Downey Jr. Great 90s action flicks. I really dig them.
All right, gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? We are going to divide up and search this swamp. One law enforcement officer with each one of you. Which one of you knows the most about this terrain? All right, which one of you is the ugliest, most inbred country son of a bitch out here? You come with me.
So,
anyway, now.
So we notice that Pierre here is wearing the same jacket as Gambit. Mm-hmm. They explain that the assassins have kidnapped Bobby and they're tied.
They love their tied.
Gambit is pissed and he doesn't seem to care about the tide. And he says the assassins and thieves have been killing each other for 300 years, and nobody knows why.
Also wrote down that Bobby is a very popular name for characters. It's a popular name for the character that always seems to be in peril.
All right,
or far away. It just feels like that name just keeps coming up as like the weak sibling. I mean, is it Nick Cage's brother name in Gone in 67's Bobby? I'll have to check it, but it feels though I've heard it many times before.
Gone in 60 Seconds, Kip Raines.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage, Memphis Range, and Kip Range. Okay, my bad. I redact that statement. But I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to find all the weak Bobbies in TV and film.
So Pierre explains that they don't want to kill Bobby. They want to exchange the Tithe and him for Gambit.
Mm.
So the X-Men, I guess they track Gambit's plane to the swamp.
Yes.
And then they get out and start looking for Gambit. So they got to use Wolverine's smelling ability.
Because he's the tracker. And then they follows it to the edge of the swamp, and Wolverine goes, dead end. They took a boat. I really remember that line for some reason. I remember that being as like, that's a line that I remember from my youth. Why? It seems like a really random one. Dead end. They took a boat. I think I remember it being really cool as a kid.
All right.
Yeah.
So they only send here Rogue, Jean, and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So we've got Cyclops is still injured, but there's no Beast or Storm at all.
Yeah. Well, I figure it wasn't a high priority mission. I think the others would have been doing something else, but nothing clever needed to be said by Beast.
So Pierre and Gambit show up at the Assassin's headquarters, and they're led down to a cell where they're holding the brother Bobby.
Mm.
And you notice that his brother doesn't have the same eyes or even the same hair color.
Really? I didn't notice that. He's blonde in this?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he start out in the flashback? Red hair?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's Gambit's brother, but he doesn't look anything like him.
Oh, okay. I'll read you.
Is it really his brother?
Oh,
Shouldn't he have the same eyes?
The black?
Yeah.
Black instead of white and red instead of any normal color? I don't know. It depends if Bobby has any powers. If he's just a regular dude, I doubt he would have any of. Maybe it's the powers that gives Gambit his red eyes and red and black eyes. But oh no, that's an interesting point. I mean, it could be half brother. I don't look that much like Shane, and he's my half brother.
So Gambit asks, "Where's the tie?" And Bobby says that she has it. And then he says, "Who?" And Belladonna just appears like silhouetted in the doorway.
Mm.
I do, Remy.
Belle?
How nice you remember. You like the dress?
Belle, why you do this?
Hang on, I want to go back, but as they find the house and they have the address there or whatever, you see at the front the two assassins keeping guard, right? Yep. I wrote down here, one has a shovel and the other one has a plasma rifle. I mean, what was the deal there? Did he lose a bet that he wasn't allowed to have a rifle? He's just got the shovel instead? All right, Mac, you got the shovel today. Gah! I always get the shovel. Why can't I get the rifle?
Maybe he needs to get it from the external.
Okay.
He's got to wait another 10 years for it.
Shit. I just thought that was funny and random. I was like, oh man, he's only got a spade. That's not cool.
So Gambit sort of gives a bit of backstory here. He's explaining that they tried to bring the two guilds together, but it didn't work, and that's why he left and they couldn't be married.
Yeah, sort of a Romeo and Juliet sort of thing. And then she blows up, why didn't you take me with you? And he's just... I can't remember what his excuse was, but I don't think it was a good one.
He says, you were young and I was scared.
Yep. Not a good one. It's more or less saying, I'm sick of you, girl. I'm going to go find somebody else.
So Belladonna comes back with, I still wear your ring.
It's a really fun accent, isn't it?
And then she's got one for Gambit. So she tells him to wear it, and then she'll let his brother go free.
That's a trap if I ever heard one.
Gambit puts on the ring, and they release Bobby.
Yeah.
And then Gambit asks Belle, what does this mean? And her eyes start glowing yellow.
Oh, yes.
And then the ring starts glowing.
Yeah.
And then he's down on the ground in
he's
pain.
He's just in pain. He's going, yeah.
You leave me once. I've been waiting 10 years for this moment. You not leave me again.
My powers.
just in so much pain. He's got a good pain voice, Gambit. I really like the noises he makes.
And he also doesn't allow him to use his powers either.
Yeah, he tries to draw 3 cards on the bitch and blast her, but it just, my powers.
So we fade to the black of the ad break, and we come back, and Rogue is flying Wolverine and Jean around the swamp, and then they land at the Thieves headquarters. And Jean has like some sort of iPhone thing with the address of the Thieves.
Google Maps.
Gambit's last known address.
Oh, right. Oh, because she had it in Professor X's records.
Yeah.
I want to read these records of every one of the X-Men. I doubt they're more villainous than they are informative.
So, yeah, they go inside, and they're looking around. They can't see much. And it's pretty dodgy.
Yes.
And then Jean says she can sense people. And then the floor drops away.
Yeah.
So she can sense people, but she can't sense it's a trap.
She can't sense it's a trap, no. The plot needs her to not be able to sense it.
And then they start falling down this big shaft. And this is when, I like this here, where Rogue goes, oh, yeah, that's right, I can fly. So she just flies down. And then Jean sort of levitates herself back down, and Wolverine just lands because nobody catches Wolverine.
Keeping up with that tradition, no one catches Wolverine. And he doesn't seem fazed by it because he lands on both feet.
So they land in this room, and then this silhouetted figure comes and yells at them, what do you want? Yeah, so one of the thieves comes out of the light with a gun, and Wolverine says,
I suggest putting the pop gun away if you don't want me to feed it to you.
Ooh, that's a good line. That's a great line.
And then bang, pops claws, first claw draw of the episode. Mm-hmm. And then Jean uses her powers to move the gun skywards and shoot out all the lights that are blinding the X-Men.
Yeah.
And then Wolverine jumps in, cuts the gun in half.
Doesn't someone call someone else Mushmouth in this?
Yeah, Wolverine calls him Mushmouth.
What does that mean? Is that making fun of their food? Like gumbo or whatever?
I think he's just making fun of the way they can't say H.
Ah, right. I love it. I love it when he called him Mushmouth. I didn't know what he was taking the piss out of their dialect or their food, but I loved it anyway.
So one of the other thieves presses a button and it sort of knocks a wall on to Rogue.
Yeah.
Puts both her fists in the air, breaks through it.
Doesn't even punch it. She just lets the wall come to her. It's like she's got both hands up for a question and just cracks over her hands. That was really neat.
And she says, I like a man who will open a door for a lady.
That's funny.
Then Pierre comes running in saying, stop. Remy came, made the switch for his brother, for the tithe. You must be the X-Man.
For the tithe. Oh, we need to get that on a shirt. For the tithe.
For his brother, for the tithe.
I love it. Oh, man, fuck all the haters of this episode. This is a winner of an episode.
You just love Pierre.
I do love Pierre. I love your impression of Pierre, too.
And then Wolverine threatens Pierre with another claw draw. And this one is that one that I really remember because he puts the claws up either side of his face and not the middle one.
Yes.
Sometimes the claws slip.
That is a real popular one in the comics as well because Wolverine, he's done that to so many people. Put the claws either side of their head and just have that middle one lingering underneath their chin. So I thought that was a really cool place to use it too. That's a really cool move.
That's in the first movie too, isn't it?
Is it? Oh yeah, when he's got the dude against the wall.
I think so.
I think so. I can't.
But
that's just against his throat.
Yeah, it's to him. Yeah,
it's not
under.
up his.
Yeah.
In Logan, he actually stabbed someone straight up the shoulder like that. But he hasn't threatened anyone like that. Maybe in the movies, I can't remember. I have to watch him again. But yeah, I know he does it in Spider-Man Torment when he teams up with Spider-Man. He puts it straight up to Spider-Man's face, which I thought was really neat.
So Bobby then pipes up and says that she will bring Gambit to the tithe. And then so we sort of let on Rogue and she's like, she?
Yes, Rogue's feeling a bit nervous about this scene and all this she talk.
And he says, it's Belladonna, the leader of the assassins. His woman. And then Rogue sort of gasps as we go to like an ad break. So then we cut to Gambit and Belladonna. And Belladonna's got Gambit in a suit.
Yes, it's so weird. It's like when Jean and Cyclops got married, you see Gambit in the suit, but he didn't have his head sock on. He just had the ponytail. But this, he's wearing a tux and the head sock thing. It just looks so weird.
And Belladonna says that
I saved it for you. You will need it after the tithe. When we marry.
Why pretend, Belle? You know the Thieves won't let me stay with you.
After tonight, there be no Thieves.
and then Gambit sort of just pulls out the bow tie and the whole suit comes away.
It's a party suit.
And he's still wearing his usual clothes underneath.
Yeah, it's without the trench coat. You just see the pink and black and his big metal collar, but he's just wearing it underneath the suit. Wouldn't it bulk up?
Yeah. But that's like you always say, he looks like a turtle without his shell.
Yeah, it's really doesn't look normal without that trench coat on. Got to put the duster back on.
So he says to Belladonna, "You know the Thieves won't let me stay with you." And Belladonna then does the old eyes light up and starts putting him back in the pain.
Yeah.
And she's like, "After tonight, there will be no Thieves."
Yeah, she's pulled the switcheroo, given him a fake tithe, and she reveals that she still has the actual one. Which is not a bad plan for her to get rid of all the competition and just have the assassins there. So she could have really brought peace to this whole sort of thing.
She says, "You were traded for a worthless brother and an even worthless box. When they give this to the external, she will destroy them all." So I love using that word destroy too.
Yeah, it's not kill, it's destroy.
So now we go back to Wolverine, Rogue, and Jean, and they're with all the Thieves at the meeting point, and they're wondering where all the assassins are.
Yep.
Because the external's going to come in less than 5 minutes.
What do you care? From what you say, the assassins don't show, the boogie woman melts them, and you take over.
That's just great. I love it because it's Wolverine breaking down someone else's culture and beliefs. Totally generalizing everything. Boogie woman and melts them. That's not what happens. She's not a boogie woman and she doesn't melt them. She sends them to another dimension. But it's so funny the level of don't give a shit that Wolverine displays in that one sentence. The boogie woman melts them.
So then Gambit and the assassins show up with Belladonna, and then she says, "The assassins are ready for the tide and welcome their new member, Remy LeBeau."
Really rubbing it in.
And Rogue's like, "I don't believe it." And then all of a sudden Gambit just shoves Belladonna down so forcefully.
It's a hard shove.
And he says,
The tithe she give you is a fake!
Traitor! I knew he didn't love that swamp witch.
Traitor! And she puts the pain on his ring
he
finger.
immediately goes back to the ring attack. And then Rogue's like, "I knew he didn't love that swamp witch. Get away from him."
Swamp witch. I love it.
Oh, that's a great line. And then she flies over and shoves her into the assassin goons. And then Belladonna says, "Seducer, get away from my husband."
Jezebel.
And then she blasts Rogue with like this yellow blast out of her hands.
Yeah.
And it knocks Rogue through the 2 trees and the rock that we said.
Yeah, it's a three rhythm bop, bop, bop.
Yeah. And then Wolverine runs over to Gambit and he says, "Give me the ring, Gumbo. You ain't the marrying kind." And then he just pops that single claw.
Yeah.
And we're not going to count that one as a
We
claw
will
draw?
not count that as a claw draw. It's like single utility claw that he pulls out for opening a can of beans, can of Coke, can of beer, or a cursed wedding ring.
So yeah, he tries to cut the claw off, and Belladonna I guess she stops him, like the ring thing affects his claw and he can't cut through it.
Yeah, it's got a similar current. I think the adamantium conducts the black magic of the swamp people.
Yeah.
So he gets zapped as well.
So he walks away with a claw that's smoking.
A smoking claw.
So finally the Thieves realize the assassins have betrayed them.
You assassins betray us!
Your crazy woman break her word! You assassins got no honor! You thieves too stupid to check the box. We're not gonna tell you. Soon it make no difference.
One of my favourite lines, because your first time you're hearing one of the assassins talk, and we ain't gonna tell you. Real cheeky.
So then Jean steps in here and levitates both sides' guns up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, "I can't stop you from hating each other, but I can slow you down."
For a half a second, maybe.
But she can stop them. She's a telepath. She can.
I'd have just tossed the guns away into the lake, into the swamp or something. She just holds them just out of reach.
But
I mean,
you got to remember, this is Jean. She can't be too effective or she'll pass out. So then one of the assassins just like blasts at the weapons and then they all fall out of the ground. So yeah, she didn't really do much.
Nah.
Useless. So Bobby gets out one of his bolos.
Yes. We get to see some random weapons now that all the pistols are gone. They got the backups out.
And he throws it at one of the assassins and they all run together and grab their weapons and start this big fight.
Yes, it's two sides coming together.
And this is where you noticed egg attack.
Egg attack. I forgot. Yeah, there was an egg attack. So we're seeing all this sort of gangs of New York action, two sides slamming together and fighting, punching, carrying on bolos. And then you see one of the assassins get hit in the face by an egg. We were watching it. I was like, Brooks, was that an egg? And you go, I think it was.
Who brings an egg?
Why is there always someone brings eggs and tomatoes to a gang fight? You know? It's one of those random things and really funny bit.
Please!
So this is when Rogue comes back in and she makes a beeline straight for Belladonna and she flies right over the fight. And so she doesn't want any of that. She just wants Belladonna.
Cat fight. She's found her mark and she's going in for the kill.
And she says, hand over that buck, swamp rat.
You can blast me away 1,000 times, but I'll get you sooner or later. Gambit ain't gonna be your lapdog.
Where Belladonna says, Remy has kissed many woman share, but love only me. And then she starts flaunting the ring at Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck bitch.
Making the pot boil.
This is when Wolverine jumps in from off camera here, and Belladonna blasts him up into the air.
Yeah, straight up.
And then Jean catches him. It's the first time ever Wolverine gets caught. They don't let him fall to the ground.
No, it's very generous of Jean to do so.
So Jean says, it's no good fighting, Wolverine. Unless we can find the real tithe box, every thief here will be destroyed. And Wolverine now has his awesome line. He says,
I don't care about which spirit ladies do what to which Cajuns. I'm here to stop a wedding.
That's truly a priceless line. Great writing from Julianne.
And I thought, why is Wolverine so against weddings? Is it because there was no Bucks party?
Well, he's the sort of bloke you'd want at a Bucks party.
Definitely.
Wolverine, I think so. He's going to bring all the chicks because he's short, hairy, and handsome. He's had so many girls in the time.
How many Bucks parties do you reckon Wolverine's been to in his life?
Well, if he is truly immortal, he would have befriended a lot of people and got invited to so many Bucks parties. I imagine he's got a collection of best man photos where he's the best man at so many weddings throughout time. That'd be pretty cool.
See, like when Scott was supposed to be married to Jean, I reckon he didn't have a Bucks party.
No, even though if he was allowed to have one, he still wouldn't have one. He'd be morally against, oh no, I don't want to go see strippers.
Where Gambit will be all about Bucks parties.
He'd be hosting a pretty good Bucks party, old Gambit. I party with Gambit.
So the external appears out of the water spout, and it's been 10 years. And then...
it's just like Jubilee and Moses comes out. I desire.
So yeah, she appears and everyone stops fighting. And she says, the tide is false. Chosen ones, assassin and thief, step forward. Mm-hmm. So Bobby and Belladonna step forward and Belladonna goes first again. And then she gets her powers increased. And then Bobby sort of goes to explain. And he only has a few words out and she goes, dishonors the tide. And then she starts to blast him out with like some purple energy. And then Bobby tries to blame the assassins. And then Rogue jumps in here to try to defend him. And she's like, the boy's right. It was that low-life mop squeezer over there who... And then the external cuts her off and smashes her with another bolt of purple energy.
I like that bit because normally in some cartoons or other sort of bits when the third party comes in to explain everything, say the person who's doing all the prosecuting will stop and listen to that person like... That's a credible witness.
Yeah.
It's like Rogue would have had nothing to do with the thieves and the assassins in the external's eyes, so it makes sense for the external just to punk her like that. So yeah, your opinion ain't worth dick. Let me continue torturing the thieves over here.
And then the X-Men jump in and Wolverine says, just show me where to slash. He gets another claw draw. And then the external hits them too with another blast.
And you see Jean's sort of psychic shield or telekinetic shield just break into like little bits. And I thought that was a clever part because it is a shield. And it just shatters under the power of the external's blast.
So the external's about to kill the assassins before Jean uses her psychic abilities to show the external the truth. And you get like the overview of Jean's face, and then it cuts back through and just tells you exactly what happened, so the external finds out.
Yeah, probably should have led with that, Jean. Would have saved Wolverine and yourself a headache.
And then, because that works, she promptly passes out.
Well, she has to. She's not very strong.
So now the external is pissed with Belladonna for fucking with the tithe. And she then sides with the assassins. And then she says, "Oh, what do you want me to do with her?" To all the assassins.
To the thieves, you mean?
To the thieves, sorry, yeah. And then Bobby goes, "Destroy her! Destroy them all!" And then Gambit jumps back in and pushes his brother over really hard. Again, similar to what he did to Belladonna.
Bobby, shut up. He charges in with the big NFL check.
Destroy her! Destroy them all!
Bobby, shut up! We need no more killing to honor you. Take her powers, but not her life.
It is done.
Blasted with eye powers.
Yeah, the eyes bad. Is it eyes bad, hands good? I can't remember. They keep changing.
They might have changed it, yeah.
Ooh.
It's over, Belle.
Remy, don't leave me again.
This is not my home. I am not thief or assassin. I am an X-Man, and I'm never coming back.
And then he sort of puts the ring down next to Belladonna. And you liked how it sort of stayed on its edge.
Yeah, right on the edge there. I mean, there's no bit of grass or mud that he smushes it into. It just perfectly balances it on the ground. I mean, it's a pretty cool shot. You get the circle, and I think they had Belladonna in the background there, the ring in the foreground. Yeah, it's the only way you would have seen it if you laid it face down. You wouldn't be. It'd just be like a gold line.
So I got back to the mansion, and Cyclops is still in bed, complaining that Gambit didn't tell him about his past. And Jean and him have this talk about trust.
Yeah.
And yeah, then they go to the Savage Land. Yeah. So yeah, we haven't had any Savage Land, so we're going to have some of that before we finish. So the Professor and Magneto are walking past a bunch of like fires, and there's these huts on fire.
Yeah,
and
tiny little village there.
Magneto explains that this is where the 4 people were living before, and they were peaceful before a war. And just then, this Goro-looking bloke just shows up behind him.
Human Goro.
And he's like, "Someone called Magneto once taught us that the fight goes to the most powerful."
And that's this character's name, Barbarous. And his mutation is he has just 2 sets of arms. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of like Goro from Mortal Kombat. But
exactly like Goro.
He's just wearing like a loincloth and red suspenders. It's just not really a great power, just an extra set of arms, but hey, beggars can't be choosers.
So Magneto knows who this is, and he's like, "Barbarous, I did not create you for this." And then he again says the mutates are now following a new leader, and that they need to surrender to him. Magneto and the Professor make a break for it.
Yep.
And Barbarous has like 3 guys on pterodactyls, similar to before.
The classics.
So they start chasing them. And the Professor grabs a vine that's hanging from a tree and sort of knocks one of the riders off.
Yeah, he Ewoks that motherfucker. It's the Jedi style. You think a low-flying pterodactyl, it goes under the vine and takes out the rider that's riding it. That's pretty accurate from Professor, and pretty poor military skills from the pterodon or pterodactyl riders. Fly over it or just stop. Then Professor's stuck holding a vine like an idiot.
And then Barbarous comes up from behind Magneto and grabs him. And then he puts him in like a big bear hug and starts squeezing him. So the Professor comes over and notices this. And notices also above them there's a beehive in the tree.
Oh, beehive.
So he just grabs a suddenly spear and then hurls it through the beehive. And so then the bees come down. and attack both of them, and then Barbarous lets Magneto go.
That's truly the most Saturday morning cartoon way of dispatching a villain. I think that's the only thing that makes it for kids, the way old Barbarous got punked by some bees. You could easily see Daffy Duck or someone else getting punked that way, but not in an X-Men thing. You're really going to beat someone with bees?
And so, then they escape.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Look, just based on that ending there, looks like we had 3 endings. One where Gambit says, what's his final line here? I'm not a thief or an assassin, I'm an X-Man, and I ain't ever coming back. That, to me, that line is strong enough to close the episode. I mean, Gambit, Wolverine and Jean and Rogue, they all walk off into the bush, back to their jet, and they tilt up to the moon. That's a perfect time to fade to black and roll the credits. But then they come back to the mansion with Cyclops, and then they talk about whatever they were talking about.
It's all about trust and how they didn't know anything about Gambit's past and all that sort of crap.
They
didn't need it.
Didn't need to be there, and wasn't as strong as the ending that was right before it. So if you're going to do that, that's a perfect place to end it. But then there's another ending, it's like Return of the King. And then we go into the Savage Land, which I'm not a fan of. In this, the Savage Land coders is only to remind you that, hey, Charles and Magneto are still lost. And that, to me, that takes away so much from the Wolverine Origins Repo Man and Gambit Origins X-Ternally Yours, you know what I mean? Just get rid of them. And that middle ending there, back at the mansion, get rid of that. Either make Gambit's story longer or the Savage Land coda longer, because we're in the Savage Land for 80 seconds before we piss off out of there?
Yeah, that's what I don't enjoy, is there's nothing cool happening in the Savage Land.
Absolutely not.
He's throwing a spear through a beehive. Who cares? Make something cool happen, and then I want to watch it.
We're going away from egg battles for that. Really? We've got eggs and killing people with bees? Nah. But, that's Savage Land. I think the Savage Land bits, they're just truly unnecessary, and they've been the downer on this episode and the previous one for me. Get rid of those, and then I'm having much more fun.
I think that'd be fine if just something better happened.
Yeah. I bet what else could happen? They're lost, and they're running into all of Magneto's ex-mutates, and we work for somebody else now.
Because that's all it is. It's just this little tiny bit with a little sort of cliffhanger, and they either do it in that episode or the next one and solve it. Where it'd be really cool if they actually wrote a Savage Land episode and then broke it up for that whole season.
Oh, okay.
I think that'd be much cooler.
Yeah.
Than instead of these stupid little bits where they fall off waterfalls or get covered in snow. Like, that's all shit.
Yeah. And it's all been taking place during the daytime. Is there no nighttime in the Savage Land?
No.
Absolutely not. If it's is it in Antarctica?
Yeah, it's in Antarctica.
It must be one of those days when it's like
23
so it's
hours. Summer down there. Yeah, so it's
23 hours.
The 4 hours of darkness or whatever it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it?
Something like that.
Well, that's what it is then.
Anything else you thought about this episode?
My final thoughts on the episode. Don't know why there's so much hate for it. Don't know why there's so much boredom that people see in it. It was a very entertaining episode for me. It didn't hit all targets that I look for in the episodes, but it did hit the funny, whether it be on purpose or not. I found this one very entertaining for how funny all the Cajuns talked.
Yep.
All the silliness with the tithe and the external. I was digging the external. Makes sense to me. Like, she definitely reminded me of Moses from South Park. And how you have to bring her offerings just to appease her. And I looked up, a tithe is like 1/10.
Right.
So maybe it's 1/10 or part of something paid as a contribution to a religious organization or a compulsory tax. So that's what a tithe is. Why is they paying her? I would like to know more about the assassins and the thieves and the external. The tithe. I can't keep calling it a tithe because no one calls it a tithe. It's a tithe with a D on the end because I hate pronouncing the letter H. But yeah, give us more about this. I would have loved to have seen a return to the assassins and the thieves, and I don't think they do for the rest of the season. If they do, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But this was it for Gambit Origins. But yeah, So what was your favourite part, Brooksy?
My favourite part has to be when Wolverine pops claws on either side of the guy's face.
That's right, in the third one.
And he's like, sometimes the claw slips.
So is that a combo favourite part, favourite line?
I just like that part. Yeah, that line just adds to it. It's not my favourite quote.
See, my favourite part is the gang war. It reminds me of Gangs of New York when the two tribes come to battle, but all the little bits inside there with the bolos, with the regular fighting, and suddenly egg to the face. That's a really funny bit to me, and I think that was probably my highlight of the episode, because when I seen the egg hit him in the face, I just got completely taken out. So where did that come from? And that's good if by accident or on purpose in the animation in the story, something can surprise me as much as that egg did. What was your favourite quote?
So I've got two favourite quotes.
Ooh.
First one is Rogue, where she says, "I knew I didn't love that swamp witch."
Whenever someone's called a witch is hilarious, because it's very close to bitch.
Well, then my second one is Wolverine's, "I don't care about which spirit ladies do what to which Cajuns. I'm here to stop a wedding."
A farcical line like that is always going to get a win. See what I mean with the funny lines? And for my favourite quote, Wolverine gets the win again. My favourite quote is, "What do you care? The assassins don't show. The boogie woman melts them and you take over." To me, that is an oversimplification of what they've based 300 years of religion on. And it also tells so much about Wolverine's character. He simply doesn't care.
No.
Wasn't listening. He's like the bloke who was commenting on the forum. He cares about as much as Gambit's religion as Wolverine does. You know? Because he's got it wrong. He doesn't melt them. She sends them off to another dimension. Jeez.
So how do you rate this one?
See, I think I'm going to go groundbreaking and give it a 7.5.
Ooh.
I don't rate anything 7, but I will rate something a 7.5, because I think I was going in here with really low expectation because everyone was talking it down.
Mm-hmm.
But it surprised me with that opening, that really cool opening with Cyclops getting punked in the danger room and all the cameos from the big bads, all the biggest, baddest dudes that they've fought so far. Whether it was intentional or not, the Robocop homage of bloody Cyclops getting killed by everybody. That was just such a gruesome scene. And the assassins and the thieves, how funny everybody talks. Random egg. This was a really funny episode. So this gets 7.5 for me. What would make it better? Cut out the Savage Land completely. Finish on the strongest line there. I ain't never coming back. And just give us more of this Assassins vs. Thieves lore and mythology. If you delve... I'll go 100% into that, and just don't worry about all these other storylines with the Savage Land or whatever. I think you got a contained, really cool one-off episode, you know. And 7.5 for me.
So I give it a 7 because I do give things 7.
Yeah, yes you do.
And this is where this one sits for me. It's got that comedy and that. I feel the same way as you do. This one, yeah. I'd like to see more of that. With the Savage Land, like I said before, I'd prefer it if it was a full episode and then just cut it up.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Savage Land. It's just what happens there is shit.
Yes.
I want something good to happen, not beehives.
Yeah, going back to the Gambit origins, we don't see any explanation about his backstory. Whether they wanted to keep it mysterious or not is irrelevant. If you're going to do a Gambit story and talking about his past, you have to go into it. I mean, I'd like to see where the cards come from. How come he didn't use his powers when he was in the flashback? Did he only just get them when he joined the X-Men? Did it help him in the Thieves at all? Where does his stick come from? Where did his trench coat come from? Because all that is left unexplained.
Yeah, they're all wearing trench coats. Do they get that given to them at some point?
Because but in the flashback he wasn't wearing one. I think he was wearing some
he wasn't.
Yellow sandy t-shirt, and he had the ponytail. Didn't even have his head sock or fingerless gloves. You know, they didn't give us anything about Gambit here. I mean, yes, keep him mysterious, but you got to explain something. Tell me where his stick come from. Show them training or whatever, doing their thief stuff. what are they thieving?
Yeah.
And who are the assassins assassinating? Just tell me more. They're just in a swamp. They're in a swamp worshipping the external, and they've got 2 clans. That's all we know. Give us more. God.
So IMDb is right in between us here. They're giving it a 7.2.
Which doesn't suggest that they hate it as much as the internet says. 7.2 is still a pretty decent score. But just the comments and the whinging about it and the Wikipedia and forums saying how boring it is doesn't reflect how much the general populace don't like this episode. But yeah, 7.2, that's about right. All right, it's tally time, yeah?
So, no beast quotes because we ain't got no beast this episode. The claw draws, we have 3.
Yep.
So we add that onto the 32 we've already got this season, which adds to 35. Plus the 44 from season 1 is 79.
Well, we needed a break of claw draws going from 13 to 3. If we put any more claw draws in this episode, it'd just be too much to take.
And there was no more bubs. We still haven't got a bub yet.
Bubless, mate.
So we're still on 4 for bubs. But we did get another Gene Faints. So we're up to 2 Gene Faints. Any cool sound effects you found?
No, actually, I don't think I was listening to the sound effects this much. The accents threw me, so my focus was 100% on all them Cajuns and how cool they sounded. Trying to squeeze as many, I was searching for hard target references. How much Bayou talk and all this Cajun talk is present. It's time for shout-outs and mailbag. Have you got anything for us?
We have another iTunes review.
Fantastic. You haven't got a new title for mailbag yet?
No, not yet, but I will have one. That'll be my homework for this week. I've got to find one.
For the next mailbag listeners, give us a better title than mailbag because we got X-Quiz, we got Breakdown, and those seem very X-Men mutant eccentric, but mailbag doesn't... It's everybody's title for mailbag is mailbag. Marvel
something.
mailbag, mutant mailbag. Give us something.
Need something X-Men related.
But anyway, give us this was it a review?
Yeah, it's a iTunes review. So this one is titled Time Machine in a Podcast. And it says, I recently discovered this podcast and I've blasted through all of season 1 episodes.
Oh, really?
Listening to the breakdowns, analysis, and laughs from each episode brings me right back to my early teen years.
Ah, yes, that's what we want. Teen years. Must be an older listener.
Bender and Brooksy's joy come through in every moment, especially the cleverness of the audio clips and feature segments.
Well, see, that was intentional to have feature segments, just to break up the monotony of all these other podcasts. Not to say, well, when I don't listen to many podcasts, but the ones I did listen to for reference for when we started this, there was no structure and no intro or anything like that. So I was listening to these podcasts and they were just talking straight away. There's no music to introduce them, no announcer voice or anything like that. They're just talking about their day. And it was like, mate, the title of the podcast is called Night of the Sentinels. When are you going to start talking about X-Men? I don't give a shit what you bought, what was in your trolley, what bargains you got at Best Buy or whatever. So tell me what I'm listening to for an appeal to first-time listeners. So I thought structure and segments were very important in the podcast, and I'm glad people are vibing it.
He goes on and says, I cannot get enough of this show, and I feel what I'm going to do when they get to the end of season 5.
Oh, you and me too. You and me both, brother. It's just like...
He says, thanks, blokes, for bringing my childhood back to me.
Oh, you're very
That's from
welcome.
Scott Honog. Yeah, Long Island, New York. Even signed the end of it.
Oh, on you, Scotty. But yeah, mate, it's been our pleasure, and I'm glad you're vibing it, and you felt compelled enough to write a review. I mean, it doesn't take very long, but we really appreciate it, and makes it feel like the effort that we're putting in is paying off if you guys are into it as much as we are. But yeah, keep those reviews coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. We'll read them all out.
Yeah, we will.
And star ratings too. Star ratings even easier now on your phone. Just bang, bang. Done.
Oh, is it really?
Yep.
Oh, that's good because, yeah, we've got the average star rating, but yeah, I want more written reviews to let us know where we can improve and what you like and don't like. But yeah, thanks, Scotty. That was awesome. It's time for the social media shout-outs. Rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and Podbean. You can also find us on Podcast Addict, Pocket Casters, and now Stitcher. If you're on iTunes, give us a star rating so we can have an average. I want to see how many stars we're worth, and don't forget to give us a written review. Won't take very long, but it'll definitely help my ego, knowing that everyone's writing up and telling me how great we are. I'm playing. Like and share our page on Facebook at Generation X-Men. Share us to any X-Men fans who'd like to hear two Australians bang on about mutants for an hour. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GenXmenPod for some behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and Meme Monday. Or you can contact us via Facebook IM or by email, generationxmenpodcast@gmail.com. So what's up for us next week, Booksy?
Next episode is number 20, Season 2, Episode 7, Time Fugitives, Part 1.
Here we go, Time Fugitives, baby. And we know, just with that title, we know what we're getting. The two time travelers, Bishop and Cable, and we know it's going to be both of them because it's Time Fugitives, not just Time Fugitive, but this is going to be a good one. Weren't you saying it was been hard to unpack this episode, was it?
Yeah. Strap yourself in next episode.
Lots of Easter eggs and characters.
It's got everything.
It's got everything. Oh, man. Well, hopefully this gets really close to touching as good as Days of Future Past Part 1 was, because as a kid I remember this one was a good one as well, because it's got Cable and Bishop. You can't really go wrong with those with those
Your two
guys.
favourites.
It's like salt and pepper, baby. I think it'd be better if there was Juggernaut in it. That wouldn't make sense. Alright, that's it from us here at Generation X-Men. Hope you've had as much listening as we've had talking. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for your time and attention. Next week, we've got Time Fugitives Part 1 with Breakdown, Tally Time, and Claw Draw. Like the Terminator, we'll be back, and we look forward to your company then. Thanks for hosting, Brooksy.
No worries, Bender. Take it easy, mate.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Like the name suggests, we are Generation X-Men, and you are too. If you're new to this, what we'll be I fucked up the intro.
Oh.